and welcome. So today we are going to discuss our fourth element or dimension of wellness, and that is interpersonal and social wellness. And so you may be asking yourself, well, what is that? And let me read this out to you. It is developing effective communication skills that foster the capacity for close and intimate relationships and cultivates a support network. It also contributes to the well-being of the communities around them, meaning us, and it includes taking actions that protect the environment, and obviously there's a lot of room for misinterpretation or misunderstanding that last part, right? But in essence, it is a way of us, creating our social network, our social, circle. It could be at work, it could be, with our families, it could be with our friends, whether we've had friends for a long time or those that we are developing. All of that is included in this interpersonal and social wellness. And so what it means by being able to impact maybe the environment or our communities is because how well are we nurturing those relationships, and what are we doing as friends or as networks to help outside of our circle. So let's start from the beginning. Usually we are taught at a young age how to socialize, right? At least for the most part, most of us are taught that. When we're lacking certain things, or maybe we don't have highly involved parents, or maybe we only have one parent, that type of interaction or socialization may become affected or impacted negatively. And so then we don't end up developing those social skills. So again, we start young. We should never stop learning. So even as adults, if we didn't learn that at a young age, we still have the opportunity. So there's never a wrong time to learn something new. So if we didn't have that then, we can take it upon ourselves now and learn it, right? And so unfortunately with the pandemic, there have been many people that have been isolated, and specifically the elderly. That has been the age group that has been most highly impacted by the lack of socialization. And as you get older, they start losing friends. Older people start losing friends, and so there's less people they could communicate with. Well, now you're adding isolation to them. Now they can't even communicate with their families, or the families can't come and see them, again, because of the pandemic. Children, the same thing. What is usually taught at a young age to interact and in school and develop friendships and socialize, well, that was impacted as well, right? So now we have these groups, different age groups that have been impacted by something that obviously was unexpected. And so how are we going to regain those interpersonal and social interactions so that we can improve our wellness? Again, we have to resort to whether maybe social media, our Facebook, Zoom meetings, any of those things that kind of bring us back together into interacting, because that's what's important. All those interactions, little by little, start forming little things, positive things in our brain, in our network, in our brain. And so those provide us good positive feedback, and so it makes us feel happier. And so when we don't have those, we tend to kind of then retract, and then we may end up overthink things. We may end up feeling a little lonely because we're no longer having those interactions. That's kind of somewhat typical in people that are a little introverted, and it may be because maybe they're afraid of how they're going to communicate, or that they don't have the ability to communicate, or that someone's going to judge them. It could be a mix of a lot of things, right? But the important thing is to get out there. The idea with interpersonal and social wellness is not only to make yourself feel better, because again, remember, wellness is many things, and as I've been discussing, it's a total of 7 that include so many little aspects in our lives in order for us to kind of be, I don't want to use the word complete, but to kind of feel that, the completeness of what wellness should be. And so as we're developing these social skills, we have to keep in mind, that there shouldn't be any judgment. So if you have a circle of friends, you guys should respect each other. We should respect each other. We should listen to each other. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And I know I'm one of those that's at fault because I love talking. Like I love talking. And I come from a good place when I talk. I don't mean to interrupt or to dismiss anything that anyone is saying. I just love to interject my opinions because they're like literally flying off, out of my head, and I don't want to forget. But sometimes we have to remember that it's okay to just sit back and listen. That's really important because then now it gives that other person the space that they need to communicate whatever it is that they're communicating. It could be a story, it could be their feelings, it could be, maybe they're asking for help, whatever it is. So again, the no judging, the being able to listen, being able to contribute, whether it's advice or recommendation or, help or, connecting someone with somebody else, that's part of social wellness as well. Always be empathetic, feel comfortable expressing your feelings. If you do not feel comfortable expressing your feelings in your social network, then that is not okay. Because if you have a group of friends where you're, maybe having to hold back on what you're feeling, then that may not be the best group of friends for you. So very important to keep that in mind. Even within a group of friends, that doesn't mean you always have to agree. It's okay to agree to disagree. We're all different individuals. Just because we're friends doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. But the important thing is to respect each other when you guys are disagreeing. You don't have to get into any yelling matches or, physical altercations with someone just because you disagree. So again, it goes back to being able to listen. So I leave you with a couple of questions. Do you make time for, your social circle or creating these interpersonal relationships, whether it could be, networking, your work relationships, fostering more or better relationships with your family, or with your friends? Do you make time for volunteering? Because a lot of times, that again opens up the door to creating and being able to interact with people that are like-minded, because you guys are volunteering in the same place and doing the same thing. So again, that will help you grow that circle. How do you help the community? Again, it kind of ties in with the volunteering. Do other things interest you? Do others interest you, to where you want to have a conversation with someone? How many times have we been, maybe at the store and someone just decides to just talk to you? Those are people that like have no problem with social interactions, and that's great, right? We're not all that like that. But again, it kind of goes back to that. It's like some of these people just, we just want to talk, and so sometimes we'll just spark up a conversation with the stranger, and it's okay to either go along with that conversation or just say, what, I am not feeling comfortable. Again, feel comfortable in expressing your feelings, but it's how you say it, right? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And again, it goes back to being able to communicate effectively. If we're not doing that, if we're not expressing ourselves, then nobody's really gonna know, like, hey, that person does want to talk, that person needs someone to talk to, or no, that person doesn't need anyone to talk to. And so again, it's so many things that, cover being and or having interpersonal and social wellness, because it's not just with, a handful of people, it's with so many circles within your life. Again, work, school, again, when you go out in the community, any kind of network, volunteering networks, all of those, factor into your wellness. So again, yeah, think about some of those questions I asked. You know, do you have time? Do you make time for them? And how do you foster and nurture your relationships? I hope you're doing a great job of that. If not, you know, there's always time for growth and learning and being able to make more time for our friends, for our loved ones, you know, our families, and not to forget our elderly. I think that's very, very important. So if you have grandparents, if you have, you know, friends that, you know, are in need of you to communicate with them because they have been, you know, isolated for a long time, this is the time to do it. It doesn't take much to either pick up the phone, send a card, you know, something, you know, so that they have and continue having an interaction and do not feel forgotten. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I will see you here next time. Bye.